Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Global Policy Dialogue, Protecting Biodiversity in Times of Crisis, exploring SDGs 14 and 15. And of course, hosted by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, also known as UNDESA. What does the latest data on SDG 14 and 15 show, and how is progress on these goals actually interlinked?
So first, I would like to give you some reality check on life underwater and life on land from the upcoming SDG report 2022. So on oceans, more than 3 million people rely on the ocean for their livelihoods, and over 80% of the world merchandise trade is carried out by sea. So ocean contribute to poverty eradication, sustainable economic growth, and food security. However, our planet's largest ecosystem is endangered. So the ocean absorbs 1/4 of annual global CO2 emission. However, the rising CO2 emission are driving ocean warming and acidification, threatening marine life and ecosystem service. So one example is between 2009 and 2018, we lost about 14% coral reef, which are called the rainforests of the sea because of the extraordinary biodiversity they support. Ocean acidification also decreases the ability of the ocean to mitigate climate change. The number of dead zones worldwide, which is an area of water that lack sufficient oxygen to support marine life, increased from around 400 in 2008 to about 700 in 2019. On land, the world's forest area continues to decline, but at a slightly slower rate than in previous decades. So each year, about 10 million hectares of forests are being destroyed. This is the same size area of Iceland. So agricultural expansion is driving about 90% of global deforestation. Significant loss were observed in Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa. The risk of species extinction is increasing at a rate unprecedented in human history. The biggest linkage between these two goals are the human activities and our unsustainable patterns of consumption and production. So they're the root cause of the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity, and loss and pollution.
What are some of the data-related challenges that we're hearing there when it comes to forests, and why is it so important that we overcome these?
We need more research into the linkages between forest and poverty eradication. But most importantly, I think what is currently clear, what we need is to really basically have data that shows the full value of forest. My personal view is that the forests are drastically undervalued, the contribution of forests to society, to planet. If you look at the figures just related to GDPs, on average, it's just below even 1%. And this figure is really misleading because we all know, as even not experts on forests, that forests provide us with so much. Yet they continue to be, we continue losing forests. And I think that the reason for that is simply because all the services, the biodiversity, the desertification, erosion, protection of water, they are not taken into account currently. And we continue to, in many parts of the world, forests are just still seen just for its timber. And actually the living organisms, the ecosystems are much more than alive, standing, then basically turn into logs and timbers. And we still have to provide evidence, have concrete figures. I think the good thing is that, if there is any positive effect of this, of COVID, on the growing climate change, is the recognition of forests and their role, how much we depend on them and how much they actually contribute to and provide solution to those issues. And we need this data. And as I said, this is work in progress.
Let's start with you, Yaba Batista. Can you tell us about the Global Fund for Coral Reefs? What is it? What is it doing? How are you making a difference?
The Global Fund for Coral Reefs is quite a unique and innovative financial instrument that it's fully dedicated to building what we call reef positive solutions, reef positive business solutions particularly. And the way we work is through a blended finance approach. And what is blended finance? So blended finance basically means the use of grant money that can come from public sources or philanthropies to attract private sector investment to scale up, in our case, these reef positive business solutions, all with the aim of contributing to sustainable development. And the GFCR is actually the first UN, United Nations fund fully dedicated to financing SDG 14. And we were launched in 2020. And what we do, getting a little bit perhaps into the partnership topic, is that we with civil society, government, and private sector actors in the water to build programs that can actually pull together resources, again, from the grant side of things and the private sector to build these reef positive solutions that can include, for example, the creation of sustainable fishing practices, better sustainable agricultural practices, because agricultural runoff often is a serious threat to coral reefs. We are working with partners on building new sustainable financing mechanisms that can be linked to blue carbon schemes, so valuing carbon that comes from the ocean and exchanging that in voluntary markets. We are working with partners on creating reef insurance schemes that can help safeguard and help reefs be reconstructed after catastrophic damages, for example, from hurricanes.
I'm going to come to you now, Garrett. How is it working with you? How are partnerships fitting into what you guys do?
That's probably the most exciting things that I do on a day-to-day basis. I think in collaboration and partnerships, we look to four kind of key stakeholder kind of groups. The first is definitely design. Well, actually, the first is really where does the brief come from? And for us, the brief comes from public sector, from perhaps UN, and definitely SDGs. So we start off with that. So that's where kind of like the questions and the intractable problems are presented. But then I think the four collaboration partners that we're particularly interested are, one, always design and designers. You know, designers are very similar and akin to the second group, which is kind of where we're classified as, is makers. Between designers and makers, you know, we basically are creating the problem and we also have to create the solution. We're creating the products that people are buying, and we need to reframe and reshift, you know, how that consumption takes place. So it's a little bit more conscious, a little bit more meaningful, and of course, most importantly, biodiversity positive. The third kind of collaboration partners we have are people who are really, really good at branding. In branding, we basically see is understanding what the human psychology is, what human beings want, and then delivering that oftentimes through kind of what immersive experiences. So I would say that collaboration to us is where we see the future, where we see the hope. You know, it allows us to quickly iterate solutions, and you really have a broad coalition of people who really want to help solve the problem, and they all approach it from their different and disparate lenses.
I'm going to turn to you now, Robbie and David, and tell us, we'd love to hear about what is the Buffalo Bayou. It sounds such an amazing name. And what is your partnership? And maybe I'll start with you, Robbie.
So Buffalo Bayou is a bayou is basically a slow-moving river, and Buffalo Bayou is the river that runs, or bayou that runs through the middle of downtown Houston, and it's the reason Houston is even a city. Houston was built on and around, around the bayou. And so Buffalo Bayou Partnership, we're a nonprofit organization, and our mission statement is the revitalization and transformation of Buffalo Bayou. And we do this through a coalition of a lot of different partners. And David and I run the Clean and Green program, which is just a small part of what Buffalo Bayou does. And we collect trash on the bayou. We try to keep the bayou clean. We are truly a partnership of a city, county, foundations, individuals on the big level, on the big partnership, and even with our Clean and Green program, which David and I work under. We are a coalition of partners with Harris County Flood Control System, the Port of Houston, some foundations, some individuals contribute to us. And unfortunately, we are also partners in the reason that we have to do what we do, because we're partners with the whole city and the whole county that contributes to our problem, and that's the trash on our city streets. And the only way to get rid of this is not through cleaning up, which we do, but we need to partner with the government. The government needs to partner with us, and we need a bottle bill. That 10 states already have this bottle bill. It needs to be a worldwide bottle bill. And a bottle bill is basically a deposit on these plastic bottles, cans, glass bottles, and it gives this what we call floatables, what you call rubbish or trash, and it gives it value. And if it has value, it comes out of our rivers and goes back into the recycling chain. And that's the only way to do it. Cleaning up is not the way to do it, but putting it back in the recycling chain would be.
I think awareness is the biggest issue. A lot of people don't know what's going on out there. They don't realize collectively how the trash accumulates and it ends up being the Pacific trash dump. And so I feel if people start, cleaning the area, maybe adopting the area, if they start recycling, and recycling by itself isn't good enough, because on the recycling part, it's a lot of dirty trash and a lot of it ends up in our waterways. And other countries get it and say they can't use it. That's why I back what Robbie said about the bottle bill, because people would get it before it gets dirty. People would turn it in before it gets dirty, and it could be used and recycled easy. We also have days that people come out and volunteer, because like I said, awareness, and people are always surprised and shocked when they get out there and see all the trash, and they want to know where it comes from, and they're always they always want to do something about the problem. So I feel the biggest issue is making sure people is aware. And my slogan is save the world. And so that's great that we're here right now, because the whole world gets a chance to see what we do and see that we're active in biodiversity, because we are trying to save the animals and save the forest and save the water.